All right. Well, here I am today with Charles Fish from United States Coast Guard Academy and Luke Savoie from WPI. Thank you both for taking your time today to hop on the call in our celebration of Division III week. It's a very special year as it's the 50th anniversary of the NCAA. So being able to celebrate Division III week and capture the student athlete experience not only at WPI today, but also with the Coast Guard Academy. So first, Charles, I'll kind of start with you. Dating back to the fall of 2023 for the 2023 season, men's soccer season, um, we had a contest where the Bears made a trip to Worcester, not only once but twice, and this time was in the semifinal, New semifinal. That whoever won earned a trip to the championship. I'll just start with any preparations. What was the mindset that week? I believe you guys had the quarterfinal contest before. What was the mindset for the Bears that week?
Well, so obviously, kind of, we had a rocky season. I think we had some ups and downs. We had some really good performances, and then we kind of had some like lower performances. We had a young team, and so it was kind of up and down a little bit. And then towards the end of the season, we kind of started to put a few things together. We kind of struggled to score some goals, and I think that started to kind of connect a little bit towards the end. Um, we had a good result against Babson, for like maybe the last game or the second to last game of the season, where we tied 1-1, and then we headed into the NUMAC playoffs, and we played MIT first round, and it was a good game. We lost to them in the regular season. Started off really poorly in the first half, kind of put ourselves in a deficit and tried to work our way back, but it ended up being, I think, 3-2. So we were a little bit nervous heading into that MIT game, but we knew that if we played the way we wanted to play, we could beat them. And so we started off really, really well in that first half, and we were able to get, I think it was 1-0 going into half time, and then after that half time, the first 10 minutes of that second half, we really kicked on. We scored a few goals, and we were kind of on a high going into that WPI game. So we had some confidence, and then we knew WPI was going to be a really tough contest. Played them in the regular season, and we lost 2-0. I believe that was the score. I missed the penalty. It was just a tough game, very physical, and so that's kind of what we expected. Um, and so we headed into the WPI game, and obviously being the playoffs, I kind of knew it could be my last game, or it could keep going. But we were on a high, I would say, and we had confidence. But we knew that WPI did as well. They finished first, I believe, in the conference. So yeah, that was kind of like the preparation.
Perfect. Thank you. Luke, obviously being on the WPI squad, finishing as the regular season champions, getting I guess, the luxury of having, or some would say they don't want to wait that long and want to play another game. But you had the opportunity to have the first round bye and then host in the semifinal. Uh, what was kind of the team's preparation under Coach Kelly and the rest of the coaching staff leading into whoever the opponent was going to be? What was the preparation from the end of the season leading into that semifinal match?
Yeah, first off, I just want to say, looking at that game, that is not a game you want to see leading into even having the bye. It's two tough teams to play against. So, um, yeah, we just kept on doing the same stuff we were doing during the season. Continue to work on ourselves, get better. Um, Lower line of confrontation, kind of let them dictate the play a little bit more and play a little bit on the counterattack. Um, and yeah, like Charles said, it's always a physical game. We're both physical teams, and on our turf, it's kind of a little bit tougher to keep possession of the ball, which we always try to do, but we have a bouncy turf, so it ends up being a dogfight every time.
Awesome. And yeah, I mean, it was a good match from my point of view, being up in the press box for both contests at WPI this year. So leading towards the end of the game, I guess, of the semifinal, What was working well for you guys during that match?
Yeah, I think the subs we made, we weren't getting tired as much. And we just got yeah, we kept punching it down and eventually we worked. I think we got a lot of momentum in the second half, as Charles was saying. We came out a little bit softer in the first half, made some changes at halftime and kept it going.
Perfect. And, I guess this will be the time to kind of go to the end of the game. Obviously, the score was set, and there was the last efforts to try and make something of the contest to extend it. But despite all the end of the game activity, what was noticed, from people at the game, administration, fans, myself, and other people in the press box, and then people watching online, was a conversation between you two. And with you two sitting on the turf as if you guys were the only people playing or the only people out there, I just kind of want to know. I guess Charles, you can lead us off. What was the conversation and why was it so impactful to you?
Um, so obviously, I mean, I played soccer like nearly all my life. I think started kicking a ball around when I was 3, and so like all the years like kind of leading up to it, like the long car rides to like games and practices multiple times a week. Just all the stuff that my family and my have done for me in order to play. Um, and so obviously, I knew my time was coming to an end at some point. Um, this season, and I was just going to give it up my all. I was going to put my best foot forward, and if wherever I got. I was hoping farther rather than shorter, but obviously that game was tough, and um, goal it was early in the game, and so we kept on pushing and pushing, and it just wasn't happening. And so as the time went like kind of winded down, and I kind of was coming to terms with the fact that like this was the end. This was the end of my career competitively. And over the years, obviously we played WPI a lot. I played Luke a lot, and he was always someone that like we kind of always highlighted. Just one of the things was always his work ethic, um, and also just how challenging he was to deal with. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Luke, but you're a lefty, correct?
Yeah.
Because we always would look at the video. You'd always like it was like your thing to come in on your left foot, and you'd always put in challenging balls into the box, or just you'd be taking shots. And like over the years, we saw some of those goals that you were scoring, and we were like, damn, like he's definitely someone we got to watch out for. And so I respected him. I just respect him a lot. His work ethic was like kind of unparalleled. Whenever he lost the ball, he was like the first one back, and you often saw those sprints, like just try and recover the ball. But that's just like the respect side of it. And so, um, yeah, the time was winding down, and so it came to an end. And the first person I saw was Luke. Luke was the one walking over to me, despite everything that was going on the field. And I mean, I don't know if I said it at the time, but like the amount that meant was huge for me. I was emotional, like it was the end, and to have somebody that like obviously I don't know Luke that well, but for him to come over and just kind of talk to me and kind of just say, hey, like you've had a great career, be proud of what you've done, and it's been a pleasure to play you. Like that means so much more than what soccer was. And it kind of just made me realize like the people that I've come to meet and come to know through this journey. And as I mentioned with you, Alex, before, but it didn't just touch me, it touched my dad. Like my dad even emailed Luke and emailed Coach Kelly after the fact. And then also like my family was watching in England. So they all saw that and they were just kind of astonished. They were astonished by Luke's character and what basically what he did that day, because the fact of the matter is he reached the NUMAC final, something that like I had been working towards all those years and I was never able to do it. And it's something that you don't come across very often. And for him to put that aside for a second, put aside what was going on the field, and come and speak to me. It just, yeah, it was. I can't really describe how it made me feel. So thank you. Yeah, thank you, Luke.
Of course.
Awesome. Then thank you, Charles, for being able to share that in depth. I'm sure when it comes to 4 years of facing, an opponent, and then you have Luke that gives you a hard time, and seeing him come over after the game, that's got to be a good feeling. And Luke, I mean, I'd like to just hear your perspective, maybe in ties of what Charles was saying throughout your time, maybe facing Coast Guard, and obviously having Charles here on the other side of the ball. Kind of what led you to that moment to go over and say your words.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Charles set it up really well. Talking about how the game's coming down to the wire. Switching the mentality to mine. I'm kind of putting like I was a senior last year, and I didn't know if I was coming back or not. And as time's winded down, and it's your last game, it's the most dreading experience. So yeah, of course the team's gonna celebrate. You kind of just have to put yourself in other people's shoes, and Coast Guard's a team that I have a lot of respect for. Again, I mean, this is a compliment. I hate playing against Charles. Sometimes it's impossible to guard him. I mean, he's like, I don't know, the ball handling, the distribution, it makes it like, I don't know, it's very tough. So not a player you want on the other team, someone you want on your team. So I envy everyone from Coast Guard. Um, so yeah, I mean, and I got the opportunity to learn, what that number 12 means to the whole academy. And that story is very impactful. My father and I read it together, and we were super interested in it. So, again, that's not information that I had before. But yeah, walking down the field, we hear the final whistle. I see Charles on the ground, and I'm looking over, and you know, the teams are doing their own thing, both benches, and I don't know. You don't want to see anyone like that, so it was kind of just I don't know. I had a lot of respect for him, and so no conversation was really had. We didn't talk about like the end of the world or anything like that. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just kind of like an olive branch per se. Sitting down, comforting him while the team makes their way over. Again, Charles said we don't know each other that well, right? Other than in the competition sense. But so, yeah, putting aside our differences as competitors, because when you step on the field, you're enemies, and then as soon as the final whistle blows, you can be friends. So I kind of took that mentality, and yeah, to hear that gesture could, even make an impact meant the world to me. Um, yeah, sorry. Just yeah, it felt like a small gesture for me. I feel like a lot of people would do that, but maybe it's not that common. But yeah, it did mean a lot to hear that it could provide some value for someone else, and that it was looked on fondly. So um, yeah,
Great. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, that takes a lot to go over. If you're, the victor, or you're, not so fortunate at the end of a match, it takes a lot from a student athlete, and just a person to go over and do something like that, and be able to not only be the receiver, but the person, that goes over to say something, have it be so meaningful. But Luke, and if it's okay with you, Charles, Luke, if you can just go on the piece of what the number 12 means, just for everybody that doesn't know, give a quick, briefing of that, if you don't mind. And then Charles, if there's maybe anything that, that means, that comes to you about wearing the number 12, please feel free to add.
okay. I really don't want to butcher it. I'll do it from memory. And Charles, please correct me. I read it.
Yeah.
So, um, again, I don't know how long ago there was a player at Coast Guard that wore the number 12, um, who ended up dying. And they kind of use the number 12 as a symbol of, like the complete package, leadership, responsibility, all the core values of, a student athlete or anyone at the Coast Guard Academy. And I believe it's one of the seniors that gets it, and I think the whole team votes on it. So it's a very, prestigious kind of, like, it's not just like a captaincy, or like it's not like just an award. It's, it means a lot to them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's basically exactly that. It was LTJG Cameron. He died in a helicopter crash while at flight school, and kind of ever since that day, the number 12 has kind of represented him. He was a very like honorable man who obviously had his quirks, and he was a good character to be around, and so um, we have that jersey to represent him, and it represents so much more. It represents the whole family that and Coast Guard players that have come before. And so when you're wearing that jersey, you're not just representing the team, and you're not just representing yourself. You're representing the whole Coast Guard and all the guys that have come before you. So
awesome. Thank you both for sharing that. I guess kind of going into that, Charles, I'll start with you. Just talking about Coast Guard. You mentioned number 12 meaning a lot more,
Mhm.
and being very special to the Coast Guard experience. With it being Division III week, I'm going to kind of pivot towards, showcasing your experience as a student athlete. In this case, specifically with Coast Guard. If you want to go over your last 4 years in a quick, briefing, this will be your time. Maybe a favorite sports moment, and maybe a favorite academic part of your academic career as well.
okay. So yeah, I found out about Coast Guard. I think it was my junior year of high school. Obviously it was around that time I was looking at colleges. And my mum kind of found it, and she was just like online, and she's like, why don't you think about Coast Guard Academy? And so kind of got in touch with Coach Parsons, and from there kind of evolved. And obviously it's a big decision. Like I knew that going in, there was 5 years of service after it. But it was always something I considered. Obviously my mum and dad and my whole family is from England, and so they moved to America to kind of provide my brother and I a better life. And I saw the Coast Guard Academy and the Coast Guard as like an opportunity to not only um, thank them, but also kind of savor what they gave me, in that they gave me the opportunity to live in America, but I felt like it was right, and I think it was just for me to serve my nation, to kind of give back for all that it given me and my family. And so that was kind of like my reasoning behind coming to the academy, and for the 4 years that I've been here, like I've loved it. I mean, there are tough days, like military and the academics is not easy in just itself, but having the soccer team and having those boys to go down and see nearly every day, especially in the fall, and then also just having dinner and things like that together, like they've got me through this place. And so um like soccer wise, it's hard to pinpoint just one memory, but just like the friends I've made, and like the seniors that from years past I still talk to, I just know that they have my back and I'll have their back, and it's kind of hard to touch. Like it's hard to describe that feeling. Um, and academically, like I've loved it. I mean, yes, again, it has been challenging. Like mechanical engineering is going to be challenging at any place that you go. But again, it's just the people that get you through, and the people side of things is what I've really valued at the Coast Guard Academy over these last 4 years, and I've made friends for life, and I've made people like friends with people that I'll talk to for the rest of my life. And having my brother here now is even more special, because he kind of gets to carry on that legacy, and I hope he can do a little bit more with the soccer team than I was able to do, and kind of carry it on. So I'm excited to see where the academy goes, but I'm also sad because I'm gonna leave people that have really got to know well over the last 4 years. But yeah,
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And one, congratulations on getting to this point in your academic career and being able to really show a unique experience being a Division III student athlete. There are not many people that can, talk to the experience that you've had, your teammates have had, your everybody at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy has had. So, and then thank you obviously for your service in the future to come your way, and hopefully the next step goes well.
thank you.
But turning towards Luke, this is you're in your, graduate, your fifth year at WPI. If you want to talk to, your experience as a whole, talk about your academics and, the significance of what came in your experience at WPI, but also you had mentioned before you weren't sure if you were going to come back, and if you want to talk on that and kind of what drove you to coming back for another year of having Luke Savoie on our men's soccer program.
Yeah, of course. So I'll give some context. Coming out of high school, I didn't really know. I really wanted to play college soccer, but I was definitely more focused on my academics, which is, a common trope across D3 sports in general. Yeah, so to pick the school first, I committed to WPI solely for academics. It was one of the only schools that I applied to that I hadn't reached out to the coach yet. And after I committed, I all I did I went on a lot of tours. I walked on this campus and I was like, all right, we're set. We're going here. My dad's looking at me like, we didn't even do the tour yet. I was like, all right, I want to go here. So, and then after that, I committed and I emailed Coach Kelly and he's like, show up to preseason, I guess. And then we'll see if you make the team. So if I'm pinpointing one memory, it's got to be preseason my freshman year. That was the most hectic experience I've ever had because I'm a very like goofy guy. Like I don't take a lot of things seriously. So um like just to like lock in and have to be like focused and Coach Kelly runs a tight ship. So it's like I got in trouble a lot. I mean, wearing a hat. I've been kicked out of practice many times. I don't know why we're going down this route, but I've just had so much fun. Like I don't know. It's been the best experience of my life. 5 years. Um, and I mean, who wouldn't want to come back after 4 years? I was like, and then the opportunity presented itself during COVID. Also really good memories. Especially during soccer, it's a little bit, you know, we just got to get tested before practice. That was always a crazy experience. But yeah, I think there was really never a doubt. I always wanted to do my fifth year, but I just wanted to, make my parents nervous and make them think that they're never gonna watch me play again, and then they get the experience. So, um, but yeah, I've made so many good memories. Hard to pinpoint preseason freshman year, but yeah, as Charles said, you meet so many people. I've been here for 5 years. I've seen so many people grow up and, so many people like change to succeed, um, and then go off and do their own thing, but everyone stays in touch. So it's good to it's good to see. Yeah. Wouldn't have done it any other way.
No, that's awesome, and thank you for sharing that. 5 years is kind of four is hard enough as it is to capture in one moment. Five is also very hard, and I'm sure you scared Coach Kelly too with your decision on doing a doing another year
Yeah.
crimson and gray. No, thank you both for sharing your experiences. I'm gonna throw kind of one more curveball at you both before we get out of here. Uh, Luke, I'm going to start with you. A lot of our conversation today is, very honorable. And, speaking of one moment, but then also both of your careers, just being, great, role models for your teammates and other students and other Division III student athletes. But Luke, I guess if you were to give a piece of advice, or it can be something you wish you knew as a high schooler. You're going back in time, you're looking at colleges, what is something you wish you knew, or what is something that you would tell high schoolers now,
Yeah,
searching for their Division III student athlete experience?
I would just say like you can't be afraid to fail. I've seen so many people go down like a rabbit hole of like they're so in their own heads of like they don't want to fail, so like they don't receive any like bad you know like anything bad happens. You need to fail in order to be successful. That's if you just end up succeeding, you're either very lucky or it's a fluke. So it's like you got to be willing to fail no matter what it gets you, no matter what the consequences, um, so that you can put yourself in a better scenario.
Awesome. And Charles, I'll turn it over to you.
I think for me, it's just like savor everything that you have while you have it. I think, like, obviously, over these last 4 years, um, there's been people dedicated to like my success and the team success, and you don't really realize that until it's gone. And so I think savor all that people give you, and like all that kind of little bits of like advice that they give you, anything that you can savor and anything that you can take away from people, savor it because it can be gone before you know it. And so um yeah, that's the main thing I would say.
Great. And once again, thank you both for taking the time to hop on this call and really show what it takes to be a Division III student athlete in very different ways, but also in very similar ways. Congratulations to you both on your careers in academics and in athletics. And thank you for joining. Until next time, good luck the rest of the way.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having me.